This is Joy Foote. Welcome to Pine Mountain, then and now. Pine Mountain has a lot going for it. History, heart, and great stories around every corner. And while today's story may seem small, it tells you a lot about this town. Because in Pine Mountain, even two little store cats can feel like part of the place. If you've spent time in Pine Mountain, you know what I mean. The cats here aren't just pets. They're part of the storefront, part of the welcome, and at least one case, part of management. In this episode, I'm going to introduce you to Arnold, the boss cat at the Cat's Meow, and Bob, the hardware store cat with a red t-shirt and a very clear opinion about how the store should be run. And along the way, you'll hear a little from the humans who work with them every day. Let's start at the Cat's Meow, because if there's a cat in town who understands public relations, it's Arnold. Arnold is a delightfully plush yellow tabby, and he carries himself like the owner of the building. Arnold assumed the mantle in late 2021 after the passing of his well-beloved predecessor, Brutus. And I mean that sincerely. In a lifetime of cats, Kara says no cat was more lovable than Brutus. That's a big shadow to step into. But Arnold stepped into it anyway. His origin story starts with something Pine Mountain does quietly well: taking care of the creatures that wander into our orbit. For years, Kara and her crew trapped, neutered, released cats out of the Kimbrough warehouse. That's the deal. Help them and then send them back out. But Arnold was trapped in 2019 as a kitten, and he was too young to be sent back. So he went home. He got socialized. He grew up safe. And as it turns out, Arnold had a strong opinion about the kind of kingdom he wanted. He liked humans more than cats. He wanted what Kara calls a fiefdom of his own. And in 2021, the perfect situation opened up. Now, if you want to understand Arnold, you need to know that he runs a 2-track system. He is an absolute professional with the public and a complete menace to the staff. His day begins by informing the employees that the food situation is unacceptable. And not in a, hey, could you maybe top off the bowl way, but more in a, these rations are an insult to my legacy way. Kara describes it as berating and harassing, bordering on badgering. And I'm just saying, that is not a description you usually hear about a house cat unless that cat has a union and a long list of demands. Once he's sniffed and rejected the offerings, he supervises litter box cleanup because leadership means oversight. And then, like flipping a switch, Arnold reports to the front door. That's where he becomes the sweetest cat in the world. He greets customers like he's been waiting for them all morning. He poses. He receives adoration. He accepts floor-level attention from guests who were young enough and flexible enough to sit down and love on him properly. He hitches rides and baby strollers like it's completely normal. He never met a little girl he didn't love. And the whole time, his staff is standing there watching him work the room like a politician at a pancake breakfast. Midday brings another round of food negotiations and a little sentry duty at the side door, because Arnold takes security seriously. The riffraff must be kept at bay. The kingdom must be protected. And by the end of the day, when the customers have gone and the shop settles down, Arnold returns to his preferred spot, his goat wagon in the window. One final inspection of his overnight supplies, and he dismisses his staff for the evening like a tiny fur-covered monarch. If Arnold had a title, Kara says it would be Boss Cat. And honestly, it's not just branding, it's a job description. Because here's the part that makes me smile. Kara is very clear that Arnold is more than a mascot. Cats are polarizing, she says, and they understand that. But they've long felt Arnold and Brutus before him give them more emotionally than he subtracts from the business. He's an ambassador. He's comfort. He's a small town character people genuinely look forward to seeing. And if you've ever walked into a store on a day you need a little brightness and found a cat waiting at the door like you're the most important appointment on his calendar, you know exactly what she means. And once you leave Arnold's kingdom at the cat's meow, all you have to do is wander over to the hardware store to meet the other half of Pine Mountain's feline management team, Bob. Bob has been holding down his post at the hardware store for about 12 years now. He is a black and white fluff ball, all fur, serious eyes, and very clear opinions about personal space. The story Frank tells is simple. When the previous hardware store cat passed away, Bob was brought in to take over. And if you've ever met Bob, you know, brought in is a polite way of saying he showed up and he claimed the place. Bob wasn't hired so much as he arrived and decided the position was acceptable. He has his own bed. He has his own toys. He has his own red t-shirt with the store logo and his name on it. His name on it. Bob has a uniform. Some of us are still figuring out what business casual even means. Most days, you can find him right up front under the Mommy and Me candle display. Prime real estate. Great visibility. Close enough to the door to monitor who's coming and going. If Bob had a business card, it would say something like front desk, security, customer relations. But Bob is not what you'd call a creature of rigid routine. Some days he's in his bed, presiding over the candles like a tiny CEO. Other days you'll wander the aisles and eventually spot him stretched across the top of a random box somewhere in the store. Just observing, thinking, possibly judging, quietly keeping the place running. He also has a bed in the back room for when he needs to decompress, which honestly feels like a very modern workplace benefit. Bob is social until he's done being social. He'll accept the head rubs, the belly rubs, the attention from visitors, and then he will let you know when the petting portion of your visit has concluded. There won't be a formal announcement, but the message will be clear. Bob has what you might call a firm but fair policy on boundaries. And people adore him for it. There are customers who don't come to the hardware store for hardware. They come for Bob. They bring him treats. They check in on him. If you ever needed proof that Pine Mountain will happily turn a cat into a celebrity, here it is. Now, if you ever find yourself in the hardware store around 5:30 in the evening, do yourself a favor and linger. Because every single day, right around that time, Bob, wherever he is in that store, lifts his head, his ears go up, and he hears it. Renee's footsteps. Renee is the office manager, and she's the one who feeds him and puts him up for the night. And Bob, who has spent the entire day cultivating a brand of calm, unbothered professionalism, absolutely loses it. The moment Renee acknowledges him, this dignified, red-shirted hardware cat sprints to the back of the room like he's late for an important appointment, which he is. Dinner, bed, end of shift. 12 years in, and Frank says that part never gets old. I do need to mention one official store policy because it's non-negotiable. Bob does not like dogs. Not big dogs, not small dogs, not dogs that are very good boys, not dogs that have never done anything wrong in their entire lives. A dog is a dog, and Bob's position is final. He will growl, he will hiss, he may swat if a dog gets too close. And sometimes the staff very politely puts him up before a known dog customer comes in, because in Pine Mountain, even interspecies diplomacy has to happen in a hardware store. And at the end of the day, that's what makes Bob more than a gimmick. He's not a marketing strategy. He's not a mascot with a schedule. He's just Bob, the hardware cat. He showed up 12 years ago, claimed a spot under the candles, put on a shirt, and got to work. And Pine Mountain is lucky to have him. So that's Pine Mountain for you. One town, 2 stores, 2 cats, and 2 completely different management styles. Arnold runs the Cat's Meow like a glamorous little kingdom, greeting the public with charm and ruling the back room with an iron paw. Bob runs the hardware store like a steady old pro, front desk presence, nightly 5:30 sprint, and a clear dog policy that shall not be questioned. They've never met, and maybe they shouldn't, but together they tell the same story. In Pine Mountain, even the cats feel like locals. And if you ask me, that's part of what makes this place home. This episode is brought to you by Chipley in Maine. Tucked in the heart of downtown at 160 North Commerce Avenue, Chipley in Maine is the kind of place you walk in for 10 minutes and come out an hour later with a smile on your face. Antiques, vintage finds, books, handmade crafts, and gifts you won't find anywhere else, all in a charming, welcoming spot downtown. Whether you're shopping for someone special or just treating yourself, stop in and see why locals call it our mall. Chipley in Maine, downtown Pine Mountain. If you're looking for something fun to do, Pine Mountain is having our Spring Festival on Saturday, April 11th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., and it's free admission. Expect a classic small-town festival day with arts and crafts, pet merchandise, children's games, sweet treats, pony rides, food trucks, and live entertainment. Bring a friend, come hungry, and plan to spend a fun afternoon strolling downtown. Special thanks to Kara Cable and Frank Ketchum for letting me share the stories of their adorable store cats. The beautiful art and music for the show was created by Silly Bug Studios. Thanks for listening, and I hope to see you around town.